A quiet security guard bought breakfast for a soaked teenager. He had no idea federal agents would storm the cafe hours later, or that the vice president herself would walk in before sunset. What happened next left the entire room speechless. It was one of those mornings in Raleigh, the kind where the rain didn't fall, it soaked, and the air felt like a wet rag no one had the courtesy to wring out. Tuesday. Early. Cold. Gray. The kind of morning where even the coffee felt like it needed a cigarette. Lincoln Plaza Café wasn't anything special. Little corner place that smelled like burnt toast and linoleum cleaner. Regulars included a rotating cast of city clerks, dodging deadlines and retirees arguing over Social Security like they were still on the Senate floor. Nobody came for the decor. People came because it didn't judge. And neither did Rick Nolan. Rick, 58, sat at his usual corner near the service entrance. Security guard on paper, watchdog by habit, Army vet, 2 tours, and now semi-retired with a crossword puzzle addiction and zero tolerance for nonsense. He didn't smile much, but he noticed things. He noticed everything. That's why the kid in the booth caught his eye, soaked through, hoodie dripping on the vinyl seat, arms clamped around himself like he was trying not to disappear, shoulders shaking, eyes locked on the counter like he wanted to burn it down with his stare. He wasn't eating, wasn't talking, just surviving. Rick had seen that look before, in tents, in deserts, in kids barely old enough to shave holding rifles heavier than their fears. Nobody else in the cafe even glanced his way. That's how it goes. People are real good at pretending invisible folks don't exist. Rick got up, not in a rush. He made it look like he was checking the thermostat. Old trick. Harmless movement. Then he drifted toward the kid's booth and paused beside it. "You order anything, kid?" he asked, calm as coffee. The boy didn't answer, just shook his head, slow. Rain dripped from his sleeves onto the table. "You hungry?" One nod, small, like the kid was scared, even that might be too much to ask. Rick sighed, already reaching for his wallet. "All right, pancakes or eggs?" The kid's mouth twitched. "Anything. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning." That hit like a punch to the gut. Rick didn't blink, just turned on his heel, marched to the counter, and paid for the full works. Eggs, bacon, pancakes, orange juice. Hell, he even added toast, because of course the kid needed carbs. He dropped the plate in front of him and slid into the booth without asking. "You're not going to get much farther if you're running on fumes," Rick said. "Eat." And the boy? He didn't waste a second. Fork in hand, like it was a weapon against the world, he tore into that food like he hadn't tasted warmth in weeks. Rick didn't push, didn't ask questions. That would come later if the kid stuck around. But peace was apparently not on the menu today. The door jingled. 2 men in suits stepped in, looking about as relaxed as a pair of tax auditors at a poker game. Black shoes, no scuffs, earpieces, clean cuts, government types, and not the DMV kind. One of them touched his wrist, mic check. The other scanned the cafe like he expected a bomb under every bar stool. Rick's back straightened. His instinct whispered, "This isn't nothing." Then came the bark. "Step away from the booth. Now." The cafe froze, forks mid-air. Conversations cut short like someone hit mute. Rick stood slowly. And what happened next? That changed everything. "You don't want to miss it. Stick around. It's about to get real. Let me paint you the picture." Rick Nolan, 58, hands raised, palms open. Not because he had anything to hide, but because he knew exactly what a hand reaching under a coat usually meant. His eyes locked on the taller agent, who was already moving like this was a scene out of some third-rate spy movie. "Easy," Rick said, voice even. "I'm unarmed. Just feeding the kid." "Step away," the man repeated, clipped, no wiggle room. So Rick did. Slowly. He backed off with the wife, the kind of calm you only learn when you've been shot at for real. But the agents? They didn't match that energy. They didn't ask questions. They didn't offer explanation. They pounced like they'd been waiting to make someone the headline. The taller one stormed the booth, yanked the boy by the arm like he was dragging contraband, and slammed him into the wall, hard. The plates on the table tumbled and shattered on the tile. Food, syrup, orange juice everywhere. Chaos in the middle of a Tuesday breakfast. Rick's voice cut through the noise. "What is this?" His tone wasn't soft anymore. It was sharp, controlled, but loud enough to get the whole cafe's attention. The boy was shaking like a tree in a thunderstorm. Couldn't have been more than 15, maybe 16 if you counted the wear in his eyes. "I didn't do anything," he stammered. But no one was listening. No one. The shorter agent, face like stone, voice like gravel, pressed him harder into the wall. "Where's the phone?" The boy's voice cracked. I dropped it on the bus, I swear." And then came the line that hit Rick like a gut punch. "We have reason to believe this individual poses a risk to the vice president's granddaughter." The whole room stopped breathing. One sentence, and suddenly that hungry, soaked teenager in a hoodie became national security. A waitress dropped her tray. Forks clanged on linoleum. A couple near the window froze mid-bite. No one blinked. Except Rick. He stepped forward, not fast, not aggressive, but with the weight of a man who'd seen too much to keep his mouth shut now. "He's a kid," Rick said, firm, unshakable. The taller agent snapped his head around like a hawk spotting movement. "You don't know who he is." Rick didn't flinch. "No, but I know what he's not, and he's not dangerous." The agent's eyes narrowed. That's when you saw it, not fear, but something worse. Irritation, as if Rick had interrupted their performance. "You want to be charged with obstruction?" Rick didn't answer, didn't blink. He looked back at the boy, and what he saw wasn't rage, wasn't defiance. It was collapse. That kid wasn't fighting. He wasn't yelling. He was unraveling, shoulders trembling, breath shallow, eyes wide and wet. This wasn't a threat. This was someone so far past fear he couldn't even stand up straight. Rick clenched his jaw, not because he was scared, but because he knew exactly what this was. This wasn't protection. This was overreach in a suit, and everyone in that cafe just witnessed it. What happened next? That's when it stopped being about breakfast and started being about justice. Stay with me. This is the part you don't want to miss. The next chapter, that's where the fuse hits fire. They cuffed the kid right there. No rights, no questions. Just steel on wrists and a cold walk into the rain like he was already guilty. Rick didn't stop them. Not yet. He watched. The taller agent shoved the boy like he was smuggling danger in his hoodie. Rick followed. Quiet, steady, controlled. By the time he caught up, the boy was being stuffed into an unmarked black van like a package no one wanted to sign for. Rick raised his voice. "This is unlawful. No warrant, no cause. You know that." The shorter agent scoffed. "You're not police." Rick's jaw tightened. 25 years, military intelligence. I know a government overreach when I see one. They didn't care. Door slammed, van gone. That's when Rick got to work. He called the VA, then a federal judge he once babysat during a security detail, then a local reporter who owed him for keeping a headline off her record, and then he called him, an old friend from Afghanistan, now a Secret Service commander. Rick said just one thing. "You've got agents snatching brown kids without due process in Raleigh. Thought you should know." By 5:30 p.m., black SUVs boxed in the cafe. One agent removed, another suspended. And Malachi, he came back. Cold, silent, but free. Rick was waiting. Same booth, same food. The boy sat, shoulders tight. "I'm Malachi," he said, barely above a whisper. Rick nodded. "Rick." "I didn't mean it," the kid added. "Just a dumb tweet. I didn't think anyone would care." Rick looked him in the eye, calm, steady. "You don't have to explain. You've already been through more than enough." The plate sat between them, eggs still warm, and for the first time that day, the air felt still. But the story's not done. What comes next? That's what shakes the whole room. Stay with me. By 6:30, the cafe had gone quiet. Just Rick and Malachi at the booth, one sipping coffee, the other finally breathing easy. The kid even laughed a little at one of Rick's old war stories, the kind with too much dust and not enough logic. Then the bell above the door rang. Everyone looked up. She walked in, tall, poised, flanked by two agents. The vice president, no press, no pretense. She came straight to their booth. "Malachi," she said gently. He froze. She crouched beside him. "I'm sorry. What happened to you was wrong. You're not a threat. You're a kid. The adults failed you. Then she turned to Rick. And you? You stopped it. Rick just shrugged. Fed a hungry kid. She smiled. You reminded us how dangerous silences can be. Malachi cried, not out of fear, but because finally someone saw him. She handed him her card. If you need school, help, a lawyer, anything, call me. Then she turned to her agents. Clear the cafe. We're eating here. By 7 p.m., the second highest official in the country was having scrambled eggs in a corner booth, with the kid who nearly vanished and the man who wouldn't let him. Across the street, under the buzz of a flickering light, Rick lit a cigarette and exhaled. Sometimes feeding a kid does more than fill a stomach. It restores what the world tried to erase.